Hi there, and welcome. Now it's time for America's favorite podcast, Leave Your Mark, with your host, Vince Cortese.
If it's fly, loose fitted, it's Cortese. If freeze and chub is in it, it's Cortese.
Leave Your Mark is about inspiring the world, one guest at a time.
Pass the word from Brooklyn to Pittsburgh, from urban to suburb, it's Cortese, you heard?
And here is our host, Vince Cortese.
This is Leave Your Mark. I'm Vince Cortese, and today's guest is Javel Roan. He's known on TikTok as JR Saxophonic, keeping it smooth with riffs and things on Bowtie Friday. He has three brothers. He's one of four, Jimmy, Jarvis, and Jermaine. His parents are Jimmy Roan and Santiza Roan, were a factory worker and a grade school teacher. He was raised in a musical home, is his most influential feelings of his childhood. Javel, I'm very excited to have you as a guest on here today. You have a very unique story. You have a wheel in motion life, and we're going to have you share some of the more intimate details with us today. So thank you for being our guest.
Thanks so much. I'm glad to be here today, man. I'm excited to be here on Leave Your Mark with you, Vince, and just excited, just to have a good time, and share my story,
Well, I think the thing that was interesting to me, because when we're looking for people on the internet that we want to bring on the show, and yours is a story of which, when you look at somebody like yourself, you don't think you have a lot of trouble or a lot of strife in your life. And your energy couldn't be further than the opposite of what's happened. But no, you're a motivator, and you're doing a lot of good things with your talent and your music and how you're portraying what it is you're doing. You're motivating a lot of people. You're inspiring a lot of people. So we appreciate you doing that. So let's go in. You're one of four children. You had three brothers. What was going on in that house with those three brothers?
I think the question is, what wasn't going on in the house with three brothers, man? I mean, there's always something going on, whether it's music, whether it was, running around, being rambunctious, just imagine a house with four boys, all growing, all eating, all with their own separate identities and attitudes. So it was always a live event when we were around. So
now, on your bio, you said that you started out playing the trumpet, and they realized that you picked up on the instruments quickly. So how did things progress? So you started with the trumpet. Where'd you go after that?
Yeah, so I picked up the trumpet in sixth grade. My band director, she thought I was like really advanced the way I picked up music, because I could play by ear, but I also could read music. I just instantly could kind of read notes, and it just kind of made sense to me. And she said, "You want me to move to?" She said, "I'll move you to advanced band by the way you're playing if you switch to the baritone, which is basically a larger, lower range trumpet, 3-valve instrument." So
okay.
I was like, I'll try it. So I did it. Got moved to advanced band in sixth grade, man. So halfway through the semester, they changed my whole schedule, and I was like the only sixth grader in advanced band. So I had like a different schedule from everybody else. And I switched to the baritone, and that's what introduced me to low brass. And then from there, I was recruited to F.L. Schlegel High School, where I played baritone, and my band director was like, "You got to play trombone." And
now, how are you progressing? Now, were you in middle school when that was happening afterwards? So it sounds like you were sort of discovered.
Yeah, so I was in middle school. My high school band director actually came to one of my middle school concerts, and he said, "I'd love to have you at FL Schlegel. I think you'd be a great fit, And he really became one of my mentors in high school, and really impacted my life musically too,
Wow.
as well as my dad. My dad.
Well, now that brings up what I wanted to ask you next. So growing up with your dad and your mom, what were some of the influences or what you remember about your dad?
Oh man, so many memories. Actually, this behind me is his guitar. But I think the most impactful thing about my dad was an absolute hard worker. He's probably the hardest working person I've ever met in my life. He'd get up every morning at 4 a.m. in the morning and get off at 4 in the afternoon. And I just remember, he was also a musical guy. So he was a Southern style guitar player and he would sing. and it was just so much joy, on the weekends, and even on the late night weekdays, he would go downstairs and play some some kind of different riffs and things like that.
So he was
And,
by ear also. You were picking that up from your dad.
oh yeah,
I think when
that
you
was.
say you play by ear, that just sounds, for some people, that just sounds incomprehensible.
Nah, man. I mean,
It's
yeah,
all feel.
we were raised by that, man. Like we'd be down in the basement, and my dad would be playing his guitar and singing, making up songs. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Javel, and introducing us. We'd be downstairs just dancing, having a ball,
Oh
man.
yeah.
And I think that's kind of where things, where I really grew a love for music. It was just ingrained in us as children.
Yeah.
That was kind of our happy place. Al
Now,
Green, all those famous singers and things like that.
let me ask you about your mom. What is something that you remembered about your mom? She was in the middle of all that.
Yeah, so my mom, my mom's 5'3", raising these boys that are towering over her now. But I think my mom, she was always, kind of the support system. She was always at our concerts, our games. My dad was also there too. But I think, she taught the children's choir at our church, and she would, taught us the singing side of things, So, my dad would teach us the musical side. She would teach us the singing side, the discipline and, how to really bring it together. She was also an educator. So a big part of her life was trying to make sure that we came out as good citizens.
But you also got the structure. The school teacher is going to definitely help with that part of it.
For sure.
So now you're off into high school. You called yourself a band geek, and so I like the idea of seeing your videos on TikTok and on Instagram. The idea of that you were a drum major, like this just seemed hand in glove for me. So kind of run me by a little bit of action you pulled when you was drum major.
So as a drum major, man, I mean, we were dancing, we were doing shimmying and, rolling the shoulders back, and, we do the nifties and all that, lifting the leg and all that stuff, man. Yeah. So, I mean, we grew up in a Southern style band, even though we were in the Midwest, but we would travel all over the U.S. and do competitions down south. And so the drum major position was the coveted position. Everybody wanted to be drum major, the leader of the band. And we were a great band. We won first place in a lot of competitions. So to be a drum major was a great honor. And so I got to lead the band and march and also be a section leader at the time. So it was a great opportunity,
Connect with us on LinkedIn. Be our friend on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
Whether jumping out the MP or jumping on the app.
You are listening to Vince Cortese. We just want you to leave your mark.
So you come out of high school and you're off and you go to Florida A&M. And now, did you pick up in the sociology major there, or when you didn't get to tell you after you transferred over to Kansas State?
Yeah, so I actually started out as a music major at Florida A&M, and then when I got to Kansas State University, I transferred my freshman year to Kansas State University. So after my freshman year, I transferred to Kansas State University, and it was for multiple reasons, primarily the cost of living, being out of state. And, it was just a little bit easier on my family as well as myself, financially.
Yeah, that's definitely, in those years, it's like time goes by so quick and you're packing so much in. Now, you graduate college, and how soon after college did you meet your wife?
I actually met my wife during college. We were, college sweethearts or something like that.
Okay.
So we met in college, and
Was she in the band too?
She was not. She was nothing near a band. But she definitely could sing. But she was just not. She was just kind of interestingly enough, my wife is a teacher, and she was kind of fairly quiet, fairly reserved, and but always just great conversation, great to be around, really a nurturer.
He was watching you like, this man's sliding off the edge.
Yeah,
you were entertaining for her, I'm sure.
She had to, and the funny thing is, she doesn't even get too thrilled about all the entertainment stuff. She just likes being around, just chilling around the house and hanging out and things like that. So
she's smooth, and that's nice. Now you got of your own, you got 4 kids, and you got
that's right.
Layla, who we're going to talk about a little bit later, Jalen, Victoria, and then the youngest, Logan.
Yep, little Logan.
Okay, so
Wolverine.
you got one boy. He's the baby. That's good. It hooked up dad at the end.
Oh
He's
yeah.
probably getting worried. It was going to be.
Yes.
That'll shake you up a little bit. So
Yeah,
the
for sure.
thing falls in your favor. So how you enjoy being a father?
Okay, I gotta say, I absolutely love being a father. I think the number one reason why I love being a father is because I had a fantastic father too. So,
Wow.
he really showed me what it means to be active and how important it is to be active as a father. Having him let me see the importance of fatherhood, the affirmations, the daily being there, being present, just being available, getting to know your children, listening to them and now apparently I have a little wisdom, but I felt like my father had so much wisdom, to offer me. And so I think that's the greatest part about being a father is being that someone that people, your children can look up to. But oftentimes, it's interesting how we as parents can also learn from our children.
Oh, sweet. So four kids later, I'm guessing you're getting pretty wise yourself these days.
I'm trying to,
You can learn a
man.
lot from a 5-year-old.
They all different, man.
Oh
Jeez.
my.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, definitely learned a lot for sure.
Now you were saying you mentioned that you were homeschooled the kids, and so that kind of ties us into our story where we're going to shift gears here. Okay, Javelle, we're joined by your wife Tia, and we want to ask you guys now. What's happened here is you're homeschooling your children, and your girl Layla is having a rough time this time when you notice something's wrong with her. So run me through what happens.
Yeah, so normally, my wife was off to work, and then I would wake the children up, and they were doing remote learning since COVID had just kind of started in 2020. And, all the girls had come down to eat breakfast and to get ready for class. And I noticed that at breakfast, Layla wasn't there. And I said, "Where's Layla?" And my middle daughter said she's still upstairs. So I went upstairs, checked on Layla, and she was just kind of laying there, and her face was kind of, a little flushed as far as red. And what's going on, Layla? And she said that her hip hurt. And she said, my hip hurts, Dad. And I was like, your hip? And I was like, well, okay. I was like, did you go to the restroom? She was like, yeah. And then she went downstairs and she still just laid on the couch. And you really get up. And I noticed she was warm, almost like she had a fever. Well, she did have a fever. And then I gave her some Tylenol, told her, she'd be fine. She just lay down. And I said, go to the restroom. And she just said it hurt to just stand up. And she just kind of was hunched over. And I was like, what is going on? So later that day, my wife came home. And then she said, babe, let's go get her checked out. And I was like, I think you're right. We should take her to the doctor. So.
If you are listening from Australia, Florida, or just from around the corner,
From East Coast to West Coast outlets, if you're not into the dirty South straight, make a left and body.
contact us. Leave your mark with your host, Vince Cortese.
All right, so now you take her to the doctor, and Tandra, run me through what you're thinking when you're taking her there, because the pain and it's sort of different, and a mother's perspective is always a little different than the father. So what were you thinking?
I think I was probably thinking something more of like maybe her appendix or something like that, something that's like a quick kind of, if it is the problem, something that can be resolved rather like quickly, than a recovery. So I took her to the emergency room and they did scans. And then the doctor comes in and she kind of sits there and she sits down and she says, well, it looks like there's a mass on her left side. And it looks like there's possible internal bleeding. And when she said internal bleeding, I just like, wait, what? Internal bleeding, like.
So she's got a tumor that's internally bleeding is their diagnosis.
Right.
That's just over the top.
the doctor says that possible, looks like there's bleeding and there's definitely a mass, and we're going to transfer her to Children's Mercy in Kansas City. I'm just like, this just went from a little pain to now it's like, wait, is she like gonna be like, is this like a life or death kind of like life changing?
She's not coming home.
Yeah. Right. Like, I'm thinking,
then she's not staying there. She's going to go to a different hospital after what they saw.
Right.
Oh my goodness. So your world is completely rocked here.
Right.
So JaVale, what are you thinking at this point?
Well, I'm actually at home with the other siblings, trying to, keep the peace in the house. And then my wife says we have to drive to Kansas City because they need to rush Layla to Kansas Children's Mercy Hospital because she's bleeding internally. And I'm thinking to myself, what and how did this even happen? Like, how and why is this happening?
Okay, so let's now they're taking her to the hospital and you guys are heading over to Kansas City. So you're getting ready to stay over a night or two until she's situated. Now, what happened when you guys got there and they started caring for her?
Well, it was probably we didn't get there till maybe 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
But I don't think the ambulance made it to Manhattan until around 11. So it was around 1 in the morning. We had to drop off our other kiddos to my mother-in-law, his mom. In the middle of the night, they're like completely confused and don't know what's going on. Everything's just kind of shifted and changed. We went to the hospital with COVID restrictions. So like
that got even crazier.
Yeah.
No, so they checking her for COVID and things like this besides knowing she's got this tumor.
Right, yeah.
And now that's like when the whole thing sort of gets impersonal. Like she gets treated like, in a POW camp type of approach is they shift them off to the cooler. They just get different treatment. It's not right. But so how long is she there before treatments and so forth start or end at that point where she can come home?
Well, she was in the hospital for about a week and a half with scans. I think before she left, she had one. She had one procedure before we left.
They did a biopsy.
They did a biopsy.
Yeah.
You were saying after this, so they scanned the internal bleeding, so they found the cancer. She's diagnosed that she went through 25 rounds of chemotherapy in 7.5 months. Is that accurate?
Well, the thing is, when they did the first biopsy, they were just saying, it's a mass, but we think, what really is the issue is the inflammation. Right. Like,
okay, so they're not saying that it's cancer at that point. They're just saying she's got some sort of a tumor.
Right.
So then when did they find out that it is cancer?
It was January of 21. So it was actually inauguration day. It was during the inauguration where we found out she had cancer. They did the surgery the 15th of January, and then they called us inauguration day and told us.
Wow.
A little bit. So.
All right. So now she's gone through these treatments and they removed the tumor. Now, is the treatments or the 25 after the tumor was removed?
After the tumor was removed.
Okay. So now she's, I'm saying in remission at this point, where the scan is once a year at this point.
She has scans every 3 months.
3 months. Yeah.
Now, is that still with the COVID regulations and so forth? They're still in those hospitals. How difficult is that going in and out and just getting a scan and a doctor's appointment?
Yeah, she doesn't like COVID. She has to do COVID tests. She had to do them often. And
oh wow.
Completely terrified.
So does she have to do that every scan every 3 months? She got to do a no COVID? She's probably liking that the least. After you're used to a scan, they're not invasive anymore.
Right.
But this is tremendous. So now she's back and she's doing well here and things are coming to normal. So how's the family made the adjustment with what's happened to her and you got her back?
Wow, that's a good question.
You had a lot happen.
Yeah,
a lot happened in a small time.
Yeah, I think we got used to driving to Kansas City every other week for treatment as a family. So we've grown closer together through that time of chemotherapy. Because we travel to Kansas City every Thursday and spend the night on Fridays. I think now we're just kind of like able to breathe. I don't even know how to really describe it. What would you say?
As far as
How's
back to normal.
Is there a normal?
We're just trying to figure it out.
But you're right.
Figure it out. It's been ever since COVID. Things have just been kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think you also asked what is normal.
Uh-huh.
And I'll just say I have such a sense of gratitude, just for every single day.
Yeah. It does. It brings out the level of appreciation in all of us. So what I want to do is I want to thank you for coming on short notice, Mom.
Oh, you're fine. Thank
Logan, thank you too. You were a well-behaved young man. So what I ask all my guests is, how would you like to leave your mark, Javelle? So how would you like to be remembered?
I think I want to be remembered as someone who really gave life their absolute best. And that when I leave here, I won't leave here full of, regret. I won't leave here full of gifts. I won't leave here full of potential, but I will leave empty because I've given everything, that I could possibly give to this world. And, whether that's legacy, whether it's music, whether it's time, whether it's, quality of life. My goal is to really, really live a life poured out or full, so that when I leave here, I'm completely empty and have made a significant impact and created a lasting legacy.
I believe you are well on your way. JR Saxophonic, keeping it smooth. Thank you for your time, young man. Keep the ball rolling.
Thanks so much, Vince. And
I appreciate it. We need some of your music. We're going to put your riffs on here, man. We got to get it going on.
Absolutely. You got it.
All right. Well, you take care and stay warm in Kansas City.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
We'll talk soon.
Thanks for listening to Leave Your Mark today. Tune into our next episode of Leave Your Mark with Vince Cortese. Be blessed.
You just left your mark. Thanks for listening. Listen to more episodes on demand. Just click Leave Your Mark with Vince Cortese.